Salutations, everyone. I'm Lord Formed, and we are here with another Crusader Kings 3 guide. This one was requested by people, how to raise a good heir. This is a rather complex question, and I'll try my best to give you some tips for it. As always, if you like the video, please do like, subscribe, comment, ring the little bell to get notified when things go out, or check out my Discord as well. I'm on there and more than willing to answer questions most days. So managing an heir is extremely important in Crusader Kings 3 because when you die, your heir will take over. If you've got a good heir, you'll probably survive the next generation. If you don't have an heir of your dynasty, you'll lose the game. Pretty simple. So raising a good heir is a long, complicated process. It begins with the parents. Basically, when your ruler marries, or your heir, if you still have control of them, you want them to marry somebody who has a positive trait. Yes, there is kind of eugenics in Crusader Kings 3. You can do this by looking through the spouse's traits. There are negative traits, like stuttering. There are positive traits, like hale, pretty, or smart. The best heirs, from what I have found, are the ones that go up the quick physical traits. And they are the positive ones. Quick, smart, genius. They're very good. They give bonuses just to every stat in general. Obviously, the higher stats are, the better off you are. It's important to note stuff like hail gives bonuses, but they're, in my opinion, less beneficial than the smart ones. You also have another important set of traits here, which is the beautiful, the physical, oh well, beautiful, handsome, etc. traits. Those boost fertility, give diplomacy and attractions. Having the right spouse for your ruler or heir or heir's heir is very important because the odds are those traits will get passed on and you'll have a better ruler. You can, of course, help boost that with legacies going down the blood tree. You can get chance of getting better traits, chance of losing bad traits boost as well. And if you go all the way down to this one, you can just say, oh, our dynasty is just, the odds of them being quick are higher. It's very useful if you're trying to breed the ultimate heir, and you can start getting some pretty crazy stats. Unfortunately, you have the downside of sometimes the traits aren't passed on. For example, our ruler here, his wife is comely, but the heir born to them does not have that trait. Nor does the sister born to him and the previous wife. She obviously had no traits. There's a percent inheritance system. Blood legacy boosted even higher. Having a good start at the child at its conception matters a lot, but you can shape the heir as they grow. So the first thing is your heir, as they grow up, they have a focus on what their education. And you can actually control this. And it depends somewhat on their traits, what education they get. There's 4 levels of an education trait they get when they come of age at 18, but you can kind of guide them along as they grow. My advice is you never want to focus intrigue or learning unless you're going to go for intrigue or you're trying to build tech. You're much better off going diplomacy, martial skill, or stewardship. It depends what you need from your heir. It also depends somewhat on the heir's trait. If you are struggling to maintain control of your realm or you're fighting lots of wars, martial skill is the way to go. If you're trying to make more money or develop your land, stewardship. If you own a vast, large realm and you're managing multiple cultures and rebellious vassals, diplomacy is the best choice. And at the end, of course, of an education, they will get a trait based off how skilled they were. That skilled trait is based somewhat off of their educator, and you can control the education of your heir. Gets a little bit more difficult with the education of your heir's heir, especially if your heir or your heir's spouse is a ruler. They will tend to get priority over educating the child. You can use various hooks and other manipulations to get control of education of children. But the best way to raise the child is to click on them and do educate child and make them your ward. Now, once they're your ward, their traits are going to be personality and other traits are going to be by and large based off your own. There can be exceptions if their focus is in other areas and stuff. If you're a highly skilled person at martial skill, you're giving your heir a martial education. The odds are they will become a good martial student, and then they'll get that higher level trait once they come of age, which is very important. But also, they will tend to pick up your personality traits. So if you've got good personality traits for your religion, of course, you can always check what your religion's positive traits are. And by and large, you want to try and do the good traits, not the negative ones. But if you are, say, calm, the odds are your ward, in this case your heir, will get that trait. So what do you do if your ruler has bad traits or is uneducated or something? Well, you've got to find a replacement for your ruler. And the best ways to do that, I've found, is to kind of look at your counselors or people in your court. Now, be aware, if you give somebody in court your education of your child, they'll get a relationship with them. And if they're of a different culture or religion, they may convert your heir away from yours. So just be aware that by and large, you want to keep your heir of your, I can change it here. You want to keep your heir of your culture and religion most of the time. So this is how you'd pick it. You'd change the guardian, right? You can then sort by their skill. So right here, the wife is Greek in orthodoxy. She would not be a good educator for the son. However, this person down here is Catholic, but of a different culture. It's pretty well accepted. You could theoretically pick this person. Good traits here. Good at courtier, philosophy, and learning. So probably wouldn't be the best, honestly. But as we scroll down, we could sort by what we wanted. If we wanted somebody into diplomacy. Okay, so the archbishop, which is not the worst one to pick because they tend not to have as many ambitions. You could look at him. Oh, he's arbitrary. That's a penalty to vassal. You might not want to do that one. He's fickle. That isn't great. And he's wrathful. Probably not a good educator. But okay, we've got an aunt down here. Her traits are reasonably good. She's got some good diplomacy. She's lazy, which is a problem. She's compassionate, which is nice if you're Catholic. It's a virtue. And she's temperate. It's theoretical. She's French and she's Catholic. Could be a very viable one. Ooh, we've got someone down here who could work. Basically, go down the list and plan it out. Most of the time, it's going to show up pretty quickly if you sort by what trait you're looking for. Obviously, try and match the guardian with the trait of the that you want your heir to level up, the attribute. So martial educator for a martial ruler. There are exceptions. The higher someone's learning skill is, the better they tend to educate people. There's actually court position here, court tutor, which kind of gives you an idea. They will educate the child and boost education stuff. So for example, this guy right here, if we appoint him here, the odds of a child's education goes up. We could take the child and we could theoretically have them study education with them, or we could just educate them and we could put him in charge of their education and he would do a pretty good job, except for he's got negative traits. In this case, having control of it ourselves is the best. There is another benefit for having them be your ward. You get to control all the random events in their childhood. Periodically, a child will get various events that tend to give them traits, shape their personality, shape even their sexuality through events. And you get to decide if you're the guardian. If you're not the guardian, you have no control over it. So almost always the best choice is to educate the child yourself, unless your rulers are drooling more on who's a complete sadist and still considers himself to be Catholic. That's kind of how it is. There is a couple other things to note. If you are the guardian of somebody, you also get to pick their spouse. So this is important as you go further down the inheritance line. You want to control the line of succession through various techniques of title management and stuff, which I won't go into here. But you want to control your heir's heir and your heir's heir's heirs. So grandchild, great-grandchild, you want to control who they marry, how many kids they have, and by and large what their education is. So the best way to do that is to take over the guidance of them yourself. shape them to have positive virtues, shape their education the way you want to. Be aware that you can change their focus. Most people don't know they can do it. You can only change it once. And it will tell you, rowdy children will do well with a martial education. If we raised him his martial skill, which is what he's on, the odds are his education will be a level higher than it would otherwise, or even a couple. Trying to educate somebody with a negative trait here, learning, would give a penalty. So the odds are he won't do as well. It's not a hard and fast rule he won't do well. Obviously, guidance, education, and events, plus random rolls of the dice can give you a higher level. But by and large, you want to shape someone's education to their personality. And again, diplomacy is good for large realms. Stewardship is good for making money. Medium realms. Martial is good for small realms or independent rulers who are trying to conquer stuff. Intrigue and learning, I tend to avoid doing them. Learning's only good really for education or piety, which is not so important. And intrigue, the only reason you would educate someone intrigue is your whole realm is getting murdered left and right, or you want to role play a manipulative tyrant to some degree. So just be aware of that. And who the parents are matters a lot. You want to do eugenics breeding, rating the best heir. You really need the blood legacy bonuses. Now, that just takes time. Yeah, spend the money, keep them happy, give them a good educator. Remember the court tutor position. It is amazingly important to constantly remembering to use. And you can tell what their skill is at their aptitude based off their learning skill. Higher learning skill, better educator, as a rule of thumb. Doesn't always apply if they've got bad traits or they're not skilled at certain education attributes. Like if they're a level 1, they're probably not going to be a very good educator for somebody in diplomacy. Anyway, that is a guide on how to raise a good heir. Hopefully it helps you. If you do have any questions, concerns, or you think I've said something wrong, by all means, put it below in the comments and I'll try to answer it, or someone else will. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you at another guide or a Let's Play. Bye for now.